We need to talk about radicalised students. Here's a clip of naked anti-Semitism and death threats.
Gaza, Gaza, make us proud, put the Zios in the ground. Gaza, Gaza, make us proud, put the Zios in the ground.
Well, that is Samuel Williams. He's believed to be an undergraduate at Oxford University, apparently studying PPE at Balliol College. Yes, that's the same university and apparently the same course done by this guy, George Neure, the head of the Oxford Uni, who celebrated Charlie Kirk being shot to death. He was inexplicably accepted onto one of the most prestigious courses in the world at one of the most prestigious universities in the world with grades of A, B, B. How, I wonder? Oh, and, I mean, just look at the state of him. Here's how he turned up to debate Charlie Kirk.
I think men would be happier if they are married and providing for a family.
I don't think marriage or the institution of marriage is the only way a man can be happy.
That's not what I said. I said generally happier. Do you think men will be generally happier if they're married, providing, and have children?
I don't think that's a necessary factor.
Socks, sliders, sweatpants, looking like he just rolled out of bed. It's the same university where a pathetic pro-Palestine encampment was allowed to emerge. So that was the encampment there at Oxford University. Obviously, unfortunately, people didn't particularly want to talk. That's fine, that's their right, but, you know, people can make their own minds up about the kind of people here.
We're not touching anyone.
There we go, lovely. Has anyone ever told you you might be behaving a bit like a fascist? Everyone's linked arms to try to force us, I think, out. It's a bastion of freedom of speech, Oxford University. Do you think this might be a bit fascist? Is this a little bit fascist? Let's have a closer look at Samuel Williams, who chanted about putting Zios in the ground. So there he is, straight from the mean streets of Tunbridge Wells, posing with fake guns, wearing what appears to be a paramilitary uniform, doing what he thinks are very cool hang on, keep that on the screen. He smokes, everybody. He smokes cigarettes. He's such a cool, rebellious dude. He's got a little bit of nail varnish as well. Gosh, look at him. He is edgy. And there's a moody-looking post here of him about a dark woke talk as well in one of the pictures that he posted online. I mean, this guy obviously feels he's part of a resistance movement, doesn't he? What is going on at Oxford University? What is going on with the students? Will the university take any action against him? You know, how long before one of these student toy soldiers crosses the line and actually does something radical?
We're living in a time of what feels like pretty significant social change, and it makes us question things that we've even taken for granted for decades. And one of those at the moment that people are wondering about is actually money. Is the money in your bank account safe? Should you be investing elsewhere? Are we looking at a potential global crash? What will it mean for your savings? Is there a way that you could be using your money that might be outside of government control even? Well, TallyMoney is potentially one solution. So I'm delighted to say that I'm joined today by the CEO and founder of TallyMoney, Cameron Parry. What is TallyMoney?
Well, at TallyMoney, you basically get gold you can spend. So we give people an individual account in their name, everyday account. They get a sort code, an account number. They use that account just like they would pounds from their bank, but it's milligrams of gold that we brand as Tally.
Okay. Why would you do that, though? What is the benefit to the customer instead of just having a normal pound sterling account?
Gold's performance against the pound is above 11% per annum over the last 25 years on average. But we still need money in our daily lives, and we have savings. We know that it's good common sense and prudent to save up for things, not just living credit. You know, whether it's a holiday or a rainy day, your retirement planning, you need to have money in your life, basically, that you can rely on, that's dependable, that nobody meddles with, that nobody can weaponize against you, which is another element of government control when it's the government currency, which we could talk about another time. And it should be pretty simple and straightforward, and that's what we deliver at Tally. And really, we just want people to feel safe and happy with their money. There was a time when the bigger your bank balance, the more confident you felt. now it's like, I need to do something with it. I can't leave it there. In Tally, you can.
Okay, brilliant. Cameron Parry from TallyMoney, thank you so much.
Thank you, Bev.
Let's get the thoughts of my panel this evening. We've got GB News contributor Will Kingston. We, of course, have former Conservative MP Jonathan Gullis and Labour activist Susie Stride. Will, I'll start with you. You know, straight out of Tunbridge Wells.
I forgot my dark nail polish. I'm sorry, Patrick.
Ah, well, that's all right, mate. I mean, look, but seriously, though, I mean, you know, put the Zios in the ground. It's just another example, isn't it, of one of these students who, I mean, there is a Rizzler paper between that and actually doing something pretty violent and radical, I think.
Yeah, of course. Well, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. It provides a permission structure for actual loonies to commit violence. This is the thing. Young people have always been activists. Young people have always been radical. The difference is that there is this strain of anti-Semitism which has now infected college campuses. And the reason it's infected is because the leadership, the management level, the lecturers, the academics, to be honest, largely agree with them. That is the fundamental problem. The problem isn't that these kids are loonies. Kids are always going to be loonies. The problem is that the ideology at the management level is in line with that. And when people ask you, are we past peak woke? I always say, absolutely not, because the educational institutions have been so infected that people coming out of this for the next 20 years are going to be taking that attitude and putting it into the corporates, the media, politics, you name it. This is such a big problem.
It is indeed. I don't know if we might be able to just bring up that kind of collage of pictures that people have brought up with him there. Well, one of them was like a paramilitary uniform that he had on, and there's a couple of other ones there. But Jonathan, as we bring that up, you know, this is, I mean, there are other pictures that we haven't put up there of him appearing to burn the flag of this country and indeed America. You've got him there posing with a fake gun. What's going on here?
Well, look, Patrick, I think some people might be able to pass off as book smart, but clearly they're just not actually very smart people. I think he's a deeply unintelligent individual, clearly a very boring individual. I'm sure a dinner party in Tunbridge Wells must be a right snooze fest with his crowd. I mean, it terrified me to even think that these people walk among us, to be perfectly frank. I mean, the reality is that, as Will rightly said, we have an education system, particularly at the university level, that's entrenched in allowing deep-rooted anti-Semitism. The Warwick University, I exposed them, for what they were doing with lecturers towards Jewish students within, when I was a member of Parliament in the Westminster Hall debate. Again, no action taken whatsoever. And despite having these regulators, despite having the Oxford students, lo and behold, we don't see massive fines levied against universities, or indeed, as Donald Trump has rightly done, talked about pulling funding entirely from some universities until they get their campuses in line, because university is meant to be a place of learning, is meant to be a place of hearing all sides of the argument, not having pro-Palestine nonsense pushed down people's throats and somehow radicalising a generation of young people.
Yeah, Oxford University is somewhere that many people, most people I imagine, really would have, at least in the past, have aspired to go to. I mean, it's this incredible institution. You know, it's turned out some of the greatest minds that the world has ever seen. And yet what we're seeing recently is people, head of the Oxford Uni, celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. You've got that guy talking about putting Zios in the ground. You know, and some of those encampments that were there previously as well. What is going on at this great university?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say that Cambridge, which is where I was, is far better than Oxford, and I never saw any of this behaviour when I was there 20 years ago, and I do think it is really concerning. You know, that those chants, I mean, it's incitement to violence, and I hope actually he does get kicked out of Oxford for that. I don't think he should keep his place there, but I do think it is worrying. Like, I mean, as you say, young people have always been activists, and there's something good in that. But I think there is something in the atmosphere at the moment which is not acceptable. However, the bit of hope for me is that this peace deal, if it holds, I think that will begin to shift things. I think that will begin to change things.
Can I say what's in the atmosphere there, Susie? What's in the atmosphere is, for so long now, the left have said that words are violence. And if you say that words are violence, that gives you the permission to respond to words with actual violence. This is the issue. We need to actually promote debate. And I'm not going to cop the both sidesism. There's problem on the left, there's problem on the right. The left, for too long in this country and the United States, have said that words are violence, and as a result of that, you have loony kids like this who are going out proposing actual violence. It needs to stop.
But you know, the thing is, when something happens in this country, a bit like the Charlie Kirk situation, there were signs, weren't there? There were signs. And this guy, I mean, you know, is he employable now? You know, there's this video of him chatting about putting Zios in the ground, these pictures of him. Again, the thing is, with this, I mean, you made the point, it's not particularly smart, is it? If you're going to think those things and do those things, don't post it online, mate.
Well, I'm proud to be a Zionist, because Zionism is about Israel having the right...
Mate.
Well, I know, and Zionism is about Israel having a right to actually exist as a state, and so therefore I absolutely unequivocally want the state of Israel to exist. It is our ally, and I think, and what angers me very much is, unlike on GB News, other broadcasters have been so happy to peddle the Hamas propaganda that's been coming out, pushed by those on Instagram or their celebrity mates like Mark Ruffalo, God almighty, the Incredible Hulk, was all about the Incredible Puss, more like, at the end of the day, with what he's been doing. But like, at the end of the day, to see people like that pushing nonsense, and the media always happy to take the, oh, what's Israel doing, rather than going, why did this war begin? Because 1,400 were butchered, murdered, raped, tortured, and then 200 held in tunnels using our foreign aid, billions of pounds of foreign aid, to hide the terror tunnels, whilst in Qatari five-star luxury, the Hamas leaders were happily looking after themselves whilst their people were allowed to suffer and be used as human shields. And lo and behold, what's happened under this peace deal? Hamas are roaming the streets, rounding people up and executing them.
I think the thing is, it speaks to a wider culture on campuses. We've singled out Oxford here, because Oxford, I think, should hold itself to the highest possible standard.
Absolutely.
I think even just a couple of weeks ago, I believe it was voted as the world's best university. So therefore, you have to. I know, went to Cambridge. There you go. But you know, but so therefore, I'm sorry, but you should be held to a higher standard. If that means that you should be the world's best student. And if he feels utterly comfortable to parade around that campus or wherever it is, shouting about putting Zios in the ground, George what's his face, who miraculously got in with ABB, is willing to celebrate the death of, that shows that at that university, those opinions.
Yeah, and I think it is massively problematic. Look, one of the things that is great about, there's many things that are great about this country. One of the things that is great is that we do have these great institutions. You can't beat Cambridge and Oxford, you know, when it comes to... Well, we could have that argument another time. But this, exactly what you're saying, this is very undermining. It's very undermining, not just of us in this country, but actually kind of, in some ways, that globally, because those institutions are respected globally. And I think it is actually not just embarrassing, but it is dangerous. That kind of rhetoric is dangerous.
I debated Oxford when I was at Sydney University, and I was terrified.
Yeah.
When you had to come up against Oxford University in debating, you were terrified. That guy, the new incoming head of the Oxford Union, has the public speaking skills of about a 14-year-old. Now, why has that happened? It's happened because they have prioritised identity politics over merit. As a result of that, a Cambridge degree, let alone being the head of one of the great debating unions in the world's ever seen, is meaningless, and it is all because of identity politics.
I mean, I'm going to have to beg to differ on that. Look, I got into Cambridge because I went to a state school, so they let me in, I think, on AAB rather than free A's.
How long ago was that?
20 years ago.
That's exactly right.
The fact of the matter is, I mean, I could have got that wrong, I can't even fully remember. The fact of the matter is you get a different education if you go to a state school than if you go to a private school. You can't compare those. And that is not the same as what we're seeing here.
It was 20 years ago.
Yes.
This is the point. This has happened in the last 20 years. You deserved everything you got.
Thank you.
The person who was there, who was leading the Oxford Union, does not.
But I don't think we should equate, you know, making sure we have good meritocracy in this country with the fact that we've got, you know, people saying that Jews should die. I mean, there's two different problems there.
I mean, it's not just the fact that maybe this guy has been given a leg up, and we're talking about the head of the Oxford Union here. It's also the fact that he's now appears to be celebrated for being a bit of an idiot. And actually, in my latest show, I'm going to show you a clip. He's managed to dig himself an even deeper hole. We all saw the clips of him and the screenshots of him where he said that Charlie Kirk got shot, let's effing go. Charlie Kirk shot, lol. And now he's trying to backtrack from that, saying like, oh, I didn't know at the time that he was killed. Who cares, mate? Doesn't really make a difference. If someone's been shot, they've been shot. But can I just... Where are the police when it comes to talk about put the Zios in the ground, right? So that's all right, is it? The university doesn't appear to have taken any action against this guy whatsoever. But you know, if someone goes on and tweets something or puts a Facebook message or puts a private message about a local council in a WhatsApp group or a local school in a WhatsApp group, the police kick your door in.
Well, as you say, look, the head of the Oxford Union there dresses like a bum and acts like a bum at the end of the day, and hopefully will be turfed out. And I think he's got a vote of confidence coming coming his way from union members. Hopefully they do the right thing. As for, as you say, what the police are doing, well, it is remarkable, isn't it, that someone like Lucy Connolly can put something very stupid and very wrong onto Twitter, to 4 hours later delete it and apologise for it, yet gets 31 months in prison. This guy, as Susie rightly said, is literally inciting violence against Zionists, which is, let's be honest, Jews. That's what he means when he's saying that, really. Yeah. And in their eyes, anyone who is supportive or linked to Israel is automatically a Jew, despite the fact that Israel has Christians, Arabs and Muslims living within it side by side. I've been there and seen that firsthand myself. So the reality is that he is a danger to society, but more importantly, a danger to sane people. And I think that what we should do is offer him two options. Either he does get locked up until he's received the required medical treatment mentally, or we offer him a first-class ticket out to Gaza and wish him the very best of luck as a freedom fighter with Hamas, and we wish Israel the very best in eliminating him.
Well, there you go. I mean, it's interesting to see what will happen here, really. I mean, you know, we have reached out to Samuel Williams about this. We're yet to hear back from him. I'm not sure we ever will. But for me, there is a very, very sinister aspect to this, which is that if they are part of these kind of hard left, borderline secretive university student groups that can, you know, are not just based at Oxford but around the country, it really only takes one proper nutter, and you have a death on your hands.
Well, Patrick, I will quickly say I went to Oxford Brookes, and we used to have a chant that I'd rather be a Polly than a, and I'm going to leave the naughty word out to.
Well, there you go. Okay, fair enough. Well, look, like I said, yeah, reach out for him. Maybe he says it's a stupid mistake or he stands by everything. I don't know, but you know, he's more than welcome to come on and defend himself if he so wishes.